Welcome back to another episode of the 9.8 podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Langworthy. So, starting off, just like we did last week, we did I read a bunch of games. I read a bunch of, dates and names of games of where they're going to be and all that jazz. I reached out on Instagram to ADs and athletes to try to get them to send me the games they want me to promote on here. So they did, and I got a lot of good information. But here's the thing about it: if an AD or athlete reached out to me to have like their games promoted on here, dude, that means they care. And if they care about the sport and they care about you, we want to support them. That's how we see things grow and get better and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Last week I did read one of the names or the dates wrong, so just I'm going to try to get it right this time. So just bear with me on that. I'm going to go through the list and kind of give you the rundown on those. So I've got a list over here, and I'll read those off. Up first is the Brettlebane Gathering, May 24th in Brattlebane, New York. Okay. This is an Empire Throwing Club production. They are really great in the New York Albany area. They're doing good work. So please support them. Here's the thing, though: all those classes are full. That's how good they're doing. They filled up all their classes except one. One class is still available, and that's the adaptive class. So if you are an adaptive athlete or know someone who is, they have a class for you, and they want you to show up. So there's spots available for that group. You can find more information on that at empirethrowingclub.com or heavyathlete.com. One will get you to the other, and you can sign up from there. So, up next is the No Fame Home Games in Milford, Massachusetts on June 21st. The open class is full. So if you planned on coming out there and win some money, that's full. You waited too long. But the regular classes are still available. So if you are amateur men, women, lightweight, masters, whatever, adaptive athlete, like there are spots available. So you can still sign up for that. You can do that at heavyathlete.com, or you can find it through the No Fame Games website. Again, either one will get you to where you're going. That is one of my favorite games in the country. I will be there every year. I'm going to be there this year. So yeah, it's cool. They're doing big things every single year. They're adding stuff that man, you just don't really see anywhere else. They're creating quite the Celtic and Scottish and just oddball like strength expo. Like it is becoming a go-to destination for a lot of different sports and things like that. So stay tuned. Up next is the Ohio Scottish Games in Brea, Ohio, June 28th. This is a Sticks and Stones production. So you can sign up for that at the link down below for Sticks and Stones. Next is Dublin Irish Fest. This is also a Sticks and Stones Games. Dublin, Ohio, August 2nd is going to be really great. This is quickly becoming like a go-to destination for amateurs who want the best competition. They got great implements, a great field, and PRs will be set. So if you want to be part of that, you go to the link down below, Sticks and Stones, and they'll kind of point you in the right direction to get into that games. But don't wait, because they only take a few spots for these classes, and you don't want to miss out. Up next, this one I got the date wrong last time. They made sure to let me know. I don't know how I got it wrong. I wrote it down the exact same way. But here we are. I'm going to get it right this time. This is the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome Highland Games, May 17th in Rhinebeck, New York. Registration is closed on this. They are full, which is great. Like there's a lot of throwers up in that area, and they're able to max out of games real quick. But it's May 17th. And the cool thing about this one, this is going to be a Highland Games experience like nothing else because of where the venue is. They're doing it at the Old Rhinebeck Aerodrome, and they have biplanes. You can fly around. You can take rides on these biplanes like you're the damn Red Baron, like dogfighting in World War One. Like, how neat is that? So go to that one. for the Highland Games, go for the Plains. Either way, it's pretty sweet. Up next is the Woodridge Farms Highland Games and Blue Ridge Championship. The Blue Ridge Championship is a Highland Games that I guess you qualify for if you throw or if you compete in any of the states that the Blue Ridge Mountains are touching. So there's a few of those. You find more information about whether or not you qualify at goingrogue.com. Maybe it's goinroguepodcast.com. Either way, there's a link down below. That's in September 20th in Livingston, Virginia. It's a Going Rogue production, the other Highland Games podcast. They're running a games. So very cool. You can sign up for that at heavyathlete.com. There'll be a link on their website as well that gets you there to sign up. I will be there. I'll be in No Fame. I'll be at Woodridge. I got a sponsor to cover me for Woodridge, and I'm very excited for that. Shout out to Cerberus USA for being my sponsor. That is very cool of them. Yeah, so come out to that one. Next is Georgia Mountain Scottish Festival. It's a 2-day competition, June 7th and 8th in Hiawassee, Georgia. This is a Backyard Rebellion games, so you can sign up for that at backyardrebellion.com. Danny Webster, who runs Backyard Rebellion, man, always puts on good games. You can't argue with it. They are good to go. So sign up quick. Those games sign up or fill up real fast, so don't miss out on that. Up next is the Rio Grande Valley Highland Games in Albuquerque, New Mexico, May 3rd. So it's coming up real quick. Thing about this one is it's full. So just be aware of that when you are wanting to sign up. It is full, but if you want to come watch like some of the best Highland Games athletes compete, this is the place to be. They have great implements, great field, and they are bringing the best. Big hammers and big weights are going to fly. They're doing a team event with pro men and pro women on a team competing like with each other and against each other, right? It's very neat. Very cool format. Then they're doing things to spice it up. So go support them on that. Up next is the Cortez Celtic Fair in Cortez, Colorado on June 28th. I will also be here. This is a new games, smaller games. So if you want to sign up, better do it quickly. Better get involved in that as quickly as you can. It is coming up soon, and you can find more information on that at heavyathlete.com. The last one I have for today is the Idlewild Celtic Fair. Dude, I'm probably saying that wrong. It's Idlewild Celtic Fair in Idlewild, California, on May 10th and 11th. This is also new games. This one's run by SAAA. If you don't know about SAAA, they are great. They are an organization out of California, running games all along the West Coast and just being a real advocate for throwers, because all the people who are part of SAAA are all throwers or were throwers at one point in time. So they care about us. They care about you. You want to support them. And this is a new game, so we want to support that as well. Here's the thing. This is a cool venue. It is, it looks like it's in the mountains, man. Like you could go camping. If you're interested in camping, I like camping. I have no qualms about sleeping in a tent. That shit's sweet. But they have like spots available. You can get a camping spot for like $50. I think that's what I saw. Don't quote me on that, but you look it up at heavyathlete.com or the SAAA on Instagram. You'll find more information there. And you can reach out to them directly if you have any questions on that. So, yay for that. That's all I have for games this week. But again, if you are an AD or know an AD who wants to promote their games, let me know. I'll read it out here. Try to drum up some interest, because you guys support me and I want to support you. Okay, now let's kind of get into it. Hopefully it helps some people. I got some decent traction. But the best part is that they're always going to be there. So like new people come in and out of the games. There's something for them.
The stuff you guys talked about, it won't change.
Right.
They're all very good tips for a new person.
We'll get into more of that. Let's start off with like your sporting background. What'd you kind of do growing up?
Growing up, I played softball. My dad taught me how to golf, so I like to golf. We had a boat, so we did some boating in the summertime, some water skiing.
So you're a boat family.
Boat family, yeah. Yeah, we were a
Man,
boat family.
that's interesting. Because like growing up, like we weren't a boat family, we weren't a dirt bike or ATV family. So being on with people with boats, like I go to lake and like they're like, oh, let's go on our boat. Man, it is. I don't enjoy it at all. It's not fun for me.
Well,
They're like, let's just
you
go
can go on the boat with
cruise.
us. It
Yeah.
was the highlight of the week. It's like who got to go, who was Adrian's friend she got to bring on the boat that weekend, you know?
Well, that's exactly it. I've been invited to the lake so many times with people with boats and jet skis and stuff like that, and like I'll show up on like Saturday afternoon, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're just gonna hang around the camp today. Like we were all on the water all day yesterday," and I'm like, "Great." That's happened so many times. I'm a little bitter about boat people. I guess it. Yeah, and like ATV people and like dirt bike people, I was always jealous of them because I'm like, man, like they get to like do cool and dangerous things. It wasn't until like we became adults and my dad decided to get like a side by side, and
Oh
he's like,
boy.
oh yeah, we could take this. We go to Colorado and like cruise around the mountains in this thing. It'll be really fun. And we took it out like twice. We took it to Moab once and Colorado once, and that was it.
Great
We never
places.
right, but like we live in Kansas, like so there's almost nothing to do with it, and they live in town, so like you can't just go and just cruise it around. So I think you end up selling it, but but okay, continue. You're a boat person.
Okay. Boat person. Let's see. Well, my dad was an Eagle Scout, so he would occasionally would take us and we would learn we learned how to shoot bow and arrow and archery in the backyard. And um a BB gun, loved my BB gun, so my dad took me shooting when I was little, and I still enjoy shooting now. So that's
Nice.
pretty fun. Um, Golf was a thing. I just did what my sister did. She's 2 years older than I am, so I just kind of followed her footsteps, and it just
Yeah,
made
she leads the
life with
way.
my parents a little easier. Yeah. So they dropped my sister off at one part of the park, and then I was at the other park. So we tried not to be too much of a pain, but it wasn't until seventh grade is when she started throwing track and field, and
Mhm.
I thought that looked pretty cool. And well, I don't like to run, and I was terrible at basketball. I found that out. Not very good at that sport, but
Yeah,
throwing turns out I was okay at that. So started throwing in seventh grade, and did that until now. So yeah.
yeah. Till now, still doing it.
Till now, yes, indefinitely.
What did you go to school that had like shot disc, hammer, javelin, things like that?
In middle school and high school was just shot put and discus,
Okay.
and I didn't even know about the hammer uh, really till I got to college. I did a
Why is
couple.
that?
I just it was too dangerous. So again, I'm gonna be 45. So do the math. It's been a minute since I've been to
Yeah.
grade school. But
Hmm.
even in South Carolina where I live now, they just started introducing the hammer in just select places. Just people don't have the cages to protect the athletes and the
Right.
spectators particularly, but they're a little bit more about javelin now.
Hmm.
And so I do have some high school kids I work with that throw the javelin. But javelin and Irish, that's a tough one. It's a tough event.
It's watching. I went to my nephew's. I think he's in eighth grade now. His eighth grade track meet. Uh, More kids are doing discus and
Hmm.
javelin than anything. And so there was actually some of the girls were actually really good at the javelin. I was like, holy shit, that's
Hmm.
pretty good.
Hmm.
But yeah, so
Some
that's
people,
cool.
I'm super jealous because I just didn't have it. I
Yeah,
had just enough to score a point in conference, and that was it. So
yeah.
I was thrilled with that.
Hmm.
But yeah, sometimes there's the javelin throwers. They just have it. They just have the motion. They have the understanding of the trajectory
Yeah,
and how to release it. I'm just like,
yeah.
it's
I
pretty.
I was just blown away that like a seventh grade girl like has a nasty block, and I'm like, how'd you do
Hmm.
that?
Yeah.
That's cool. Good for
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So, and you threw in college as well, right?
I did. I went to a small Division II school in Ohio. It was called Ashland
Okay.
University.
I've been by
And
there.
I was, Oh yeah, cool. Well,
I drove through there and I saw the sign for Ashland University. I was like, I know the name of that place.
yeah, you should make a stop. It's a nice place to call home. That's what it
Yeah.
says on the water tower, right? But I was very, very fortunate to have a high school coach push me in that direction because I, right before my senior year in high school, I lost my dad tragically and
Oh,
just wasn't interested in going far away for school. I didn't want to leave my mom. My sister was pretty close to home too, so I was just happy going to Youngstown State. They were going to give me a full ride, and I could throw and just live at home and go
yeah.
to school. And it wasn't until my high school coach was like, "You should really check out Ashland. I've seen the coach at a number of coaching clinics, and he has such a nice reputation. You need to go check it out." So thankfully, I did because that has shaped my world, my life forever. Just going in that direction. It was the right school, the right teammates, but most definitely the right coach. And I owe everything, almost everything to him, just as
Yeah.
far as my athletics and how I approach life anymore. So that's pretty
Mm.
cool.
And you were coached by Judd Logan, is that right?
That's the dude. That's him. Yep,
That's the man.
that's
Yeah.
him. Yeah,
And just everything I hear about that guy, just an impressive person.
yeah.
That's
hmm
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
How
an
fortunate you
excellent
are.
speaker. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I am. I'm grateful every day for every moment that I had with him before he passed. Just and
Yeah.
even now today, like there's moments in my day where it just reminds me of him. And actually, last weekend, went to go see Disturbed and Nothing More,
Ooh,
and Daughtry was also there. But it
nice.
was such a great show, and like all the Disturbed stuff is just like Ashland weight room, just clanging weights and just yelling at the top of your lungs. And there's chalk everywhere, and
Hmm.
it was a great show for one thing. But then I did actually have a dream about Judd in the weight room that night, and I don't remember my dreams very often. So that was just I woke up. I'm like, huh. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just woke up pretty happy. That I
I
had
bet.
to subconsciously had to just enjoy that memory again.
Hmm. So how'd you get into the Highland Games? Did you
Actually,
know
well,
about
I
it?
was competing a little bit. Let's see. I'll back it up. I was friends with Bert Soren
Okay.
through track and field because he was a hammer thrower at USC in South Carolina,
Hmm.
and would occasionally my coach Logan was friends with everybody. If you threw a
Yes.
hammer, he wanted to help. He wanted to cheer you on. He was your biggest fan. So we would often see Bert at different track meets, and over the years with Olympic trials, again, just would run into each other. And when Bert started competing in the Highland Games, it just was a thing. And I remember him telling me like, "It's a blast. I mean, I get to train like a hammer thrower, and now I have all these different events. You should totally check it out." And when I was competing professionally, I lived in Arizona for a few years to train there full time, and it was a really good experience for me. I got to train with John Godina and his dad, and it was really really cool. But I was just like coasting with the elites. I wasn't making that big jump to make the Olympics or any world team. I was just hovering. So I'm like, I know my fate. I love training. I love throwing. And Bert said, just check out the Highland Games. So I got with a crew of people in Arizona and Phoenix, and they showed me a few of the events. It was Mike Sussmark, it was Ryan Sackman, Summer Pearson was there. It was the Hobson family. So everybody in Arizona and Phoenix, they got me started, and I went to Tucson in 2008. It was November of 2008 was my first game. So end of season. I don't even know what a season is at this point. And I get out there and I had a blast. It was
Hmm.
so much fun. And I turns out I was actually pretty good at most of the events. And I
Yep.
surprised myself with the sheaf and things that you just, who knows? The sheaf is just one you have to try and then you figure it out. But
Right.
man, it was a really good time and I was hooked.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Hmm
I think Amarissa Handy had the same thing. Her first games was in Tucson at the end of the season,
hmm
and they're like, "Oh, it's the end of the season." She's like, "What's the season?"
Right? It's like this is the closest one. I want to sign up.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool. Do you, I'm asking everyone this because, like, I don't know, I just been thinking about it a lot. Coming from a collegiate background, like, do you feel like throwing the wire hammer translates the best to the Highland Games?
Nope.
Ooh,
do
okay,
not. I do
okay.
not.
You're the first.
um, and I am standing by it. No. Um, it's also my worst event, which is why
Okay.
it's annoying. That well, I look at the wire hammer. I liked the movement of being able to move my feet, and that's what I'm going to say for all my events. I am stronger in the open stone. I'm stronger in the weights for distance. I'm stronger in the caber. I'm stronger in spinning weight over bar. Anything I have to stand and generate power, I'm not good at it.
Hmm.
I work hard and I can be competitive, but I know my strength is actually movement. So Olympic hammer, I connected with that movement. I could feel the pulse of the ball. I could feel the generation of power from the feet in the turns. I just don't feel that with the lines. When I'm
Yeah.
stationary and I have to generate all that power from my hands and torso and hips alone, I don't feel it. So um, and also just cues. I was always taught with wire hammers, you push the ball, you push it
Hmm.
across, you push it past zero, and in the hammer or the Scottish style hammer, I was trying to push, and it wasn't until Megan McKee said, "No, you gotta pull, you pull," and I'm like, "Oh." So that's just it. Just blew my mind that just simple cue, it actually did help. So thanks, Megan. That I started to pull, and I could generate a little bit more speed into each wind that I was missing, and I'm still trying to piece it all together. But no, I think they're too different.
That's interesting that you're talking about like a pull on the hammer, because that's one thing that everyone says, like it's a push, not a pull.
Hmm.
But I can see if like you're having like trouble with it and someone kind of gives you like just that little bit of that little cue that kind of reformats it for you, like, oh, we're doing this instead of that.
Hmm.
Especially if you're so used to like what a push is in your mind. It's not the same as a push on like, a rattan handle, right?
Right. But I'll push my right hand in the weight throw. That makes
Hmm.
sense to me. I'm not pulling it. I'm pushing that one for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm also pushing with my hips, so we can talk more about that later. But yeah, hammer is still my best hammer throw. Probably came my second or third year competing, and I have not touched 103 to 105 since then. So in my light
Oh,
hammer, and it's frustrating.
just chasing that forever.
Oh
Uh,
man, that's also why that hammer and I just we have a
yeah.
relationship.
I, I think you make up for it in other places too.
Yeah, I lose a lot of points though, and it's heartbreaking actually. I've been doing
Yeah.
this so long, and I haven't figured that one out yet.
Yeah. I think we all kind of have those events though that like we're just eating points on, and
Yeah.
it'll just drive us nuts until
Hmm.
one day it might click.
Yeah, I'm
Sometimes it
still I'm
doesn't.
waiting. I'm working towards I'm working towards that my day.
I'm waiting for like to understand Wob. One of these days I'll figure it out.
Hmm.
Till then, I'll
Yeah,
ignore it.
there's an ebb and flow of that one for me too. I was very
Yeah.
hingy and straight up and down, and now I'm more deadlifty and actually doing a little bit better with it. But man, spin to win. That's the way to go.
I tried spinning when I was a lightweight, and it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it.
Mm-mm.
The only thing it gave me problems in like the weights for distance, because my sprint in the weight for height was pretty big, and it was making my sprint in the
Mm.
weights really huge. I was stepping over the trig so far, like I wasn't even like grazing it. I was just like a
Oh.
foot and a half over, and I was like, this never happened before. Like I'm causing this to happen. And so I'm like, well, can't spin everywhere. So I was like, well, I'll just stand, I guess, because I don't want to have to learn another event. It's like spinning sheaf. Like I don't want to learn another event. 9 is a lot. I don't need to make it 10 and 11.
It's nice to have in your back pocket, though.
Right. And for me right now, just my height and body weight, spinning the 56, it just isn't going to happen.
Ugh.
It's hard to be 250 and spin that thing.
Yeah, yeah, yes, I understand. Thankfully, the 28's not that heavy.
Right. I'll spin the 28 all day.
Oh yeah, it's fun. 21's even better.
Yeah, I bet.
I've had a few
because
seasons
you're
on my belt with as a master, so throwing
mhm.
the 21 is super fun. Yeah.
How many years have you competed as a master?
Oh, see, this will be my fourth year or
Okay.
fifth year. There's COVID year, so it's weird. I don't know, fourth or fifth.
Oh, yeah.
Mathing's
See,
hard.
if for me, COVID year, I don't know, it felt like another season. It was like, I don't
Yeah.
know, because like we're in Kansas and all of our games are really small, so we just did them
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
normal.
That's
So
cool.
I got a full season that year.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first year that I met Danny and did a Backyard Rebellion. So that was
Hmm.
my saving grace, was having
Oh
the
yeah.
opportunity to throw then. Because I had my birthday, my 40th birthday was in May of 2020. So it was right in the mix of things, but everything was shut down. So
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
to get to Backyard Rebellion was just like, oh, this is something to look forward to, and it was a ton of
Right.
fun.
Yeah. And Danny does good games.
Yes.
That's for sure. Did you ever make it to Masters Worlds? I
I
don't.
did.
Did you?
Yes. So
Okay.
my first year was in Austin in 21.
Okay.
So because I missed it in 2020, they didn't have it. So 21, we went down to Austin and it was great. Michaela and Jack do a super job of running
Hmm.
Austin down there. We had
Just sweethearts.
Oh, I know. My mom came down. I have family in Houston that came out to watch, and it was a great setup. And the women's 40 to 45 class was stacked. So we
I
had
bet.
Heather McDowell, and we had Janine and myself, and we just it was back and forth all day long. It was great. Or 2 days,
Hmm.
and I got a nice glimpse of what an athlete Heather McDowell is. Oh, she is awesome.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for Heather. She had a great year last year too, but thankfully she's out of my age class right now. So,
Yeah.
but I'll join her next year. Hmm.
Yeah. I was talking to Matt Hand in the last episode, and we're talking about like Masters age breakouts,
Hmm.
and especially for the men, man, I think it could be like 40 to 60, like that age range,
Yeah.
because you pick the top 15, top 20 guys out of that group, out of that 20 age like gap, and their ages are all over the place, and like they're
Hmm.
all just in that upper end of it. It is very competitive, and I know the Masters would never go for it to breaking it up every every 20 years, but
Probably not.
I don't know.
I don't think athletes would go for it. They're like, we like every five.
Right. I mean, I like it just from like as like an entertainment aspect of it. It's easier for me to understand,
Hmm.
and like know where like oh, if you say you're masters, I just assume you're in this one group unless you look really really old, and then I'll assume you're in the upper end of it. I guess. But I mean, most of these games too, these guys are and girls are even like just competing against each other because like smaller local games, they're not breaking it up every 4 to 5 years.
No.
Um,
And I'm thrilled to throw with all the masters groups because it just have a ton of fun. I did go down to Florida for 23. Is that 23?
mhm.
Yep, last year. So that was my second experience at Masters Worlds. And again,
That'd been 24.
thank you. Like, what day is it? So that's 24. So
It's
21 and 24.
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And but yeah, Florida was great too. They had a really nice setup. They had a great field. Let's see this, the Clay County Fairgrounds. I've been
Mhm.
there for the Northeast Florida games a number of times. Is that the one? Yeah, I think so. Um, but yep, it was just again super competitive. Susan Sherman, South Dakota was out there just showing us how it's done. Laura Anthony. I mean, just it was just a tremendous group of women, and it was
Yeah.
really fun, really really fun. We also had Kendra Danzer come out as well, and
Hmm.
she's on my radar. Yes.
I, I was looking at the 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 rankings from last year and Masters and Masters women, and I was surprised by a lot of what I saw. I was like, oh wow, okay,
Mhm.
all right,
There's some
people are trying
athletes.
really hard. Yeah,
Yes, yeah. And I
that's
love that
impressive.
women are willing to travel and go to different games. It just really mixes things up because you might get in that little rut where you just go to your normal games, but when you start adding in all these little special anomalies that have their own specialties, and
Hmm.
you get a lesson. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
Makes you want to work harder. So,
So do you see that like the women's classes are growing? They're
oh, for
getting
sure.
bigger.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
in depth for sure. We're getting a lot more, strong men coming out and learning how to move instead of just moving lots of weight. So,
Yeah.
um, I noticed that Shelby discus thrower. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her last name, but Olympic discus thrower came out this year and she crushed it with some
Yeah.
amazing numbers at her first game, and I think she's signing up for a couple more. So be on the lookout for Shelby. She is going to be a force definitely in the women's class. So looking forward to seeing her sometime, hopefully this season.
Yeah.
But it's no longer just I've said it before, and it's kind of hard to say, but a lot of the girlfriends and wives that want to support their husband and do something together as a couple, and now it's women who are just serious about their training, and
Hmm.
they're willing to put the work in, get the right equipment, get the right coach, get the right um, schedule, and just crushing it. We're getting the depth, we're getting the great personalities, we're getting some really sweet people
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
just make it fun, and that's why I'm going to continue doing this as long as I can because it is a ton of fun, and I meet some really neat people.
Yeah. That's one thing that I can't say anything about like the women's groups because they just have such a good personality.
Hmm.
They're able to engage with the crowd like they're friends with them and they're just strangers. Everyone just kind of has like I don't know that ability to be entertaining, and you guys all seem to enjoy each other. To
We do, we do,
the
yeah.
goofing off like it's nonstop.
Hmm. Well, we try to be serious at most time, but
Yeah,
the goofing off does help a little bit too.
yeah, you have your moments.
Hmm.
Well, one question I have is because again, I was talking to Matt Hand, and he brought it up that it's women's elite, not women's professional. What do you
It's
have
a
to
hard
say on
one.
that?
Um, it also just depends on how they want to score it, if or how they want to pay out their money. If it, I just assume that if we're getting paid for it, we're professional.
Mm,
Um, and I understand there's the difference of, well, here's $400 for your travel and your hotel. This is just, the travel money. Okay, thank you. That's I got a free weekend away, so I think I'm professional. Now they're going to invite the people that they want, and hopefully it's a competitive group. So I think that's the reward for being the invited athlete. You
right.
get paid to play, and um, but I understand that there's some games who prefer to say elite because they don't want to get locked into having a pro women's class every year, or maybe they don't know if they can depend on the funding, or it was a surprise and they have extra money. Okay, we can have a elite class of women, or we can give them $100 for gas.
Hmm.
Um, it is quite confusing when you try to say, well, I can compete as an open amateur woman. I can compete as a masters woman. I can compete as an elite athlete woman, and I compete as a pro woman. So I fall under all
Right.
those categories. If I lost another, 10, 15 pounds, I can be a lightweight, and then I can do all that all over again.
Right.
So um, it's it's how they want to score it and how they
Yeah.
enter it to heavy athlete, or at that point NASCAR.
Right. And what I was hearing too is that most of the women want to be called elite so they don't get locked into only taking paid
Yeah,
games. They can go to a
that's a hard one too.
backyarder and things like that. Which,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to be honest, I don't think that's the fairest way to do it
Yeah.
because these days women actually do get paid quite a bit for games. Not as much as
Mm-hmm.
men. There are
No.
more pro men games, but the average woman can fill out a season of all paid games if they wanted to. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is possible.
And I have not run into a game, with the exception of some of the IHGF games Francis runs, that he prefers to have the amateur athletes that have not accepted any prize money. But it's getting harder to find the women who haven't accepted, here's your $50 for travel. Thanks for coming out. Does that
Mm,
count as, getting paid? But for most games, my season is combined. I have amateur games, and I haven't had issues with the AD say, sorry, Adrian, we don't want you to throw here. You've thrown as a pro before. Um,
right.
they at least never told me that, but then I'll do a pro game the next weekend, and
Mm,
I don't know if there are any games that just absolutely say nope, no, you can't, other than some amateur specific games. But
right.
um,
Yeah.
Danny
And
hasn't
and
had a
f-
problem with it with the East Coast Championships. It's and some of the ladies haven't said anything to me, personally. So I can,
right.
if they had a problem with it, I might reconsider it. But for the most
Mm,
part, I want to compete. I want to throw. And if we were stuck with only going to pro games, I wouldn't have much of a season. Well, I guess I can't say that, but it'd just be really difficult for all the women to find the games. So Matt has a
that's
point there.
true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's what the men do have options to compete at non-pro games. What
Hmm.
we run into is like when you're not competing with anyone, you're just throwing like
Hmm.
for numbers. The other problem is half those games won't enter your numbers in if you're a pro because you're an exhibition. You're not competing against anyone else, and you're like, well, so that's not fun. So it's like
Well,
I just
why don't they count? You're using the correct implement. You have judges. You have someone who's making sure that it's fair. I mean, it maybe
hmm
doesn't count towards a total like overall score, but why do your distances not count?
yeah. Uh, I think exhibitions count. They don't count for Celtic,
Okay.
and they won't really factor in for Worlds because if they don't count for Celtic, then they won't count for Worlds
Hmm.
because you're not competing against anyone else. But if you had three attempts on a weight throw and you hit a PR, like that's no different than if someone else
Yeah.
was there. I mean, like the vibes might be different because like there's more pressure or whatever. But
Well,
I
that's
don't
what I
know.
would say. It comes down to the game then. If there's a certain game like Celtic or Worlds that have these special stipulations, then you just got to follow what the game wants to do. Just like if I show up at a game, they say, "Guess what, ladies, you're throwing the 12-pound chief today." I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what the game you know says. That's their
Right.
game, and I am there to be your entertainment. So sure, yeah, I will throw whatever you want me to throw, and if Celtic says, okay, well, if you went to this game and a great job throwing a massive PR, but it's not going to count because you didn't have anything else in your class. That's why I don't have a higher world record in the spinning weight over bar because there was only two women in the masters class at that game, and they didn't want to recognize it because I didn't have three.
Oh,
So
so
yeah,
just
I
one
know.
other pro. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing
Right.
here?
I need one other master lady to throw for it to count for world record, but that is a lesson I learned. So always find a third, or the minimum
Is that
amount to get a world record.
yeah? Is that the Masters organization? Is that
That was
their
one
rule?
particular game, I think, because I
Oh,
don't think it's viewed that way anymore. So again,
hmm.
our rules change, and it goes game to game. So I just said, all right, I'll just get another time, and haven't yet, but will.
Yeah, yeah. You're not the first person to ever get robbed of a world record because of a game's rule.
Mm.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, I had a good personal best, so I guess I'll take
yeah.
that.
You just mark that down, I guess.
Oh, I did. It's engraved. I got it.
Yep. Yeah, the rules are weird, and we're making stuff up every other week. It seems like. Um,
Yeah.
I, I'm in half a dozen group messages, and every now and again, someone will throw out some AD or someone will throw out like an idea, like, "Oh, what do you guys think about if we do this way, like this way?" And I'm like, "Please, can we not? Let's not change the rules every week."
Yeah.
We have a general rule book that we can follow, and every organization that recognizes your specific world records, they have it written out. Let's just leave it like that for a while. Let the new people that just came in here understand what we're
Yeah.
doing first.
We don't need to have three cabers, three
Yeah,
separate cabers.
right,
Well,
right. Oh, that.
I enjoy that there's like for Danny when he brought up the the different format for Mississippi. It was a ton of
Mhm.
fun, it was great to see if he could bring in new people. I think he got some new people just to
Hmm.
try it out. I think it was mostly successful, but then
When,
again,
when
it's just a different payout. He didn't
when
really change the
Danny,
rules on anything.
right? When Danny was talking about doing like his original idea of the Open is that men and women would compete against each other.
Mhm.
Uh, do you think that would shake out in the end of the day like correctly?
I know that for sure women are at a disadvantage in the hammers. Even Megan's
Yeah.
best day, she's not going to be able to take the heavy or the light based on just
Right.
head to head.
Hmm.
But we would probably dominate in the weights and be pretty comfortable in the stone. I think the men might have us in the sheaf. It
Hmm.
just really goes back and forth. I thought it was a great day, just to have fun, and I went in there
Right.
just hoping to do my best, and I won a few events and I made some money. So, um, if that was going to be a format to go forward, it just again either change the weights or just everybody's aware, like, hey, the women are going to take this one, the men they're going to take this one. So it's
Right.
it's it's part of the game. You just go in there knowing you have to throw your ass off, and then see how it shakes out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at it and it seemed like the men would take both hammers for sure.
Mhm.
The the women would get heavyweight, but lightweight was kind of a toss up. I think lightweight
Yeah.
would have been like the more close one out of all of them,
Hmm.
and I think stones would have like leaned towards the men,
Hmm.
but whatever bar would have gone to women just because you guys have just consistently more people over 16 than we do.
Hmm.
Um, but
The
caber,
sheep,
caber
sheep,
doesn't count.
yeah.
Caber's not real.
I know the caber was like kind of weird. You can't count the caber because it's
Caber's not
nah.
real.
I love the
I
caber, but it's hard to make that equal.
Yeah, I don't. I find caber to be a event of luck. If you have a good pick and a good run and a good pull, you did everything correctly. That's a PR throw. Good job for you. But when it landed, it twisted and fell over because the end was cut at a in a triangle or something. Like you
You
just
found a hole.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like if you do everything right, like that's good. That's A plus work. The caber didn't do its job, so I don't hold too much stock in what a good caber thrower is. I guess because it feels lucky to me.
Here's a little bit of that. And what does the judge say?
Right, man. I see that's like the only event that'll make me like angry at the judge. Like I've been called on like kind of like loose fouls like on the weights and stones. I'm like, was my heel down? I think I was just hovering over the line. Whatever. Like that's your
Mhm.
call. But when I'm looking at a 12 and you say a 1 or something crazy, I'm like, okay, that's not true. but I
Wow.
but but I
Thank
don't
you.
argue.
Write it
I
down.
yeah, but I also don't argue too much because
No,
I've seen people argue with a judge on caber, and their next
doesn't work
one would
out.
have been a perfect 12, and they're like, "That's a 315 or something crazy." Yep, write it down.
Write it down.
Don't
Just
argue
write
with
it
the
down.
judge.
Say,
But
man, what could I have done better?
mhm.
Actually, I did. I
um,
have had a couple of judges. One in particular, Tom Kincaid. Thank you, Tom. That I thought I just nailed these throws at Pleasanton. And at Pleasanton, you're on a horse track that has like a little slant to it, so it's not
mhm.
super easy to get to land flat like you would think. And I was just getting these turns. I'm like, totally 12. He's like, no, you're taking a little mini step and you're angling your body. So I have to go off of where you were your last three steps. And he was very helpful and he was explaining to me
Mhm.
what I was doing wrong. And it took me a long time to fix that. But that was the one
Yeah,
time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to the judge. Tell me what I did wrong.
yeah.
Well, they do want to
That's
help.
probably like the best part of like being an amateur and like throwing local games is like you're going to have like the same two judges like the entire
Hmm.
season. So
Yeah.
you kind of like learn exactly what they're looking for and
Hmm.
you can work that into your favor.
Yes.
Like you're playing the rules as they
Hmm.
laid them out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's how you play the game.
Yep. Um How do you feel about like the open format? Do you think that's the way of the
Mm,
future?
I like that there's a lot of money to be won, but I would prefer. I told Danny this too. As my feedback was that I would prefer to have a little tiered system so that first place does make 150 $100, or I don't know what it is, and then second place makes a little bit of money, third makes a little bit of money, just so that there's a little bit more up for grabs, instead of just that first prize or first place gets $200. It's a great. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed winning each event and making $200 each
Yeah,
event. But um,
yeah,
if we're doing the true traditional Scottish payout, it's just something every place. That would just give everybody a little bit of something to shoot for. And if you're finishing second and everything, it pretty much sucks. But if you have another $75 each time you finish second, it's not so bad.
yeah,
I can remember, competing in Scotland, and I actually threw with the men because they didn't have a women's class. I threw the men through, and I managed to make like 80 pounds. Just
nice. Yeah,
finishing like seventh and eighth. Just I'll take it, yeah.
that's
And I
not
was
nothing.
thrilled, just that I made just like a little bit of money in a Scottish game in Scotland. So
Yeah,
I like the format of the Open because it's fun throwing with other people. Now I like going to college. I threw with we all trained together, men and women. We had a men and women's team, which just was a powerhouse. I learned so much about myself as an athlete from training with women and also training with the men. And
mhm,
there's this level of intensity that I picked up from the men that I dialed it back to make it fit me. But
yeah,
um, I enjoy that atmosphere too. That as you mentioned, like the women, we have a lot of fun. We
yeah,
have that goof off time, but we're serious too. But
yeah.
sometimes with the men, they goof off a little bit, but then there's this different kind of serious that you know I I enjoy being in that atmosphere, and just it helps me find a little different intensity for the day. So I like throwing with all different types of people. If it's the masters group, if it's the women's pro, if it's men's pro, I'm going to learn something from somebody, either what
Right.
to do or what not to do. So I'm open to throw in the open. I can learn from somebody else.
I think. Well, I'll start with pay. Like I agree with you that like I think it should be tiered a little bit differently than
Hmm.
most of the open games that are out right now. They're doing it. They're like if they're paying per event, it's only going down to third place, which you can argue like that's good enough. Like that's podium, right? If you
Hmm.
podium on this event, like you should get paid. But also like in the back of my mind is like you're bringing seven pro men and like you
Yeah,
convince them to come out here for money. Uh, they had to make travel back.
yeah.
Otherwise, like otherwise they're not going to come back next year unless
Hmm.
you're really really cool, and then they might show up just for you. But like
Or they're
most,
in driving distance.
yeah, like they're or like
Yeah,
yeah they're nearby.
yeah.
The other thing too is just the fact that like amateurs and pros throwing together it's a huge opportunity for amateurs to really
Hmm.
like step their game up and learn a ton. One of my first games I've ever done, it was a it was like a team event with it had a pro and an invited amateur, and the third guy was like anyone else. And I was like, you know what?
Were you the anyone else
I'm
guy?
I'm anyone else. Like I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I looked at the names of all the pros and like I recognize all these names. Like they're good. Like I'm gonna get stuck with one of them and like they're gonna teach me a bunch and stuff like that. I was so bad. They wanted nothing to do with me. They did their best to accommodate me, but like I was not doing them any favors. But I did like sure like they didn't help me with my hammers, but I still learned a lot of like the Highland Games culture. Like there's like a way to carry yourselves and conduct yourself like on the field. Like I learned a ton of that, and I think I think that does have value, and you get that a lot with the open format.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, I think early on, because let's see, I started my first year, again, November of 2008. So 2009 is really, I really started to figure out the circuit. And at that time, I moved back to Ohio. And so I was a little bit more Midwest and, actually Midwest kind of games. And it was maybe a second or third year, I was actually invited to go to Chicago and the women's pro. There was like three or four of us, because I was amateur at that time, but no, no,
Hmm.
he was pro. I think there's just a very small group of us. But I
Hmm.
remember watching Sean Betts, and just he was, chatting with me in between throws, and he just started just talking about what I was doing. So he offered up all this great coaching that I took to heart, and
Yeah.
just I still remember all the cues that he told me, and he just was so awesome about just you know, wanting to help. And he was such a technical thrower too. I loved watching him throw. Um, but having that experience and you know, I was not very boisterous. I was just like, thank you. I'm gonna work on that. And just taking it all in. And from then on, I just was always listening and would watch, and then I would casually ask questions, and if it was received well, okay, I'd ask more. So I,
Yeah.
I I was glad I was in that environment that I could, talk to the other pros and the men, because the women's pros at that time we had maybe eight women pros at that time that were pretty
Hmm.
competitive. We had like Mindy Pekoski and Summer Pearson, and I mean, fantastic athletes, but eight of us that were really
Yeah.
competitive. And so for them all these other pro men to help us out and to support what we were doing, just, was really great. And so I'm still really grateful to anybody who maybe wants to offer something. I'll listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stow it away and then maybe save it for later. But yeah, so I enjoy that atmosphere where it could be a casual, like, hey, I noticed you did this. You looked like you had a better release when you did that last time. It's something like, I don't know, if it can be a casual commentary, maybe
Yeah.
critique, maybe. Mhm.
It's funny you mentioned Sean Betts because I was just at my
Oh,
local practice field throwing, and like they had there's a softball field like next to it. It's at a church. It's a big open lot, and there's a baseball field at the end of the parking lot. And some guy pulls up, and he's like, his kids are like bothering him to like, we got to go over to the playground, and he's like, well, I got to go talk to this guy. And I heard him. I was like,
uh-oh.
well, what's he going? He's going to tell me like he's going to try to kick me out
You're
or
like,
something?
get off
Because
my field.
yeah, and he's like, it's not every day you see a guy throwing Highland games out here. And I was like, oh, you know what this is? He's like, oh yeah, yeah. He's like, you got the trig there, and you're throwing lightweight, and he's like, I was like, oh, you know the words and everything. He's like, yeah, you should do it.
Who are you?
Yeah, and spoiler, it wasn't Sean Betts, but
Ah,
I know
I was like
that would have been
waiting.
cooler. Yeah, no, but he did know him, like he name dropped some people that like he used to throw around like way back in the day, and
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, that's weird. You're the only, like, he's like the only person I've ever met in the wild that knows more than just Caber. Like
Yeah.
I was like, yes,
Oh, that telephone pole thing. That tree? You
yeah,
got a tree there? Hmm.
yeah. So I told him, I was like, man, like you should get back into it. And he's like, I might, and I was like, let's go, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm here every once in a while. Just stop by.
yeah, yeah. And I'm surprised that's like the first time I ever ran across them because like they're always they're always having their ball practice over there, and
Hmm.
I'm
Well,
always
that's great.
there.
I usually train at a field at the end of like a mall of some sort, a little strip mall thing. But at the end is a bicycle shop. And so you have a
Hmm.
lot of people just walking their bicycles in towards the shop and just watching, like, what the heck are you guys doing out there? We're just
Yeah,
cleaning, hi. And
yeah,
occasionally they'll stop over and just say, what are you doing? But we have had people say, are you doing the Highland Games? And we're like, yes, we are. Because we do have like the towers, and it's really nice to have that kind of a
hmm,
setup. So it's
yeah,
permanent there. So people walk by and they're just like, they know something's going on, but not quite sure. But then when they do know what it is, it's pretty fun.
yeah. The park that I used to throw at, we had a bunch of old people who have seen Highland Games when it was on TV. Whenever
Oh,
that was, that's what they're recalling from. And I was like, man,
mhm.
only if we could get back there because
Wide World of
that's gonna
Sports.
be like,
Hmm.
yeah, that was a good time. But now the field I throw out, like we live in a really small town, and like it's like my house is surrounded by like fields. I think they got wheat in them right now, and so all the people that like are driving by or in the parking lot are just like old farmers who have like no comprehension of what I'm doing. They're like, what's this guy doing frivolous things? Why isn't he working?
Why he's not using that fork correctly?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Look, like I keep the pitchfork at home.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
me. That's my time. No one else gets
Okay.
to peek in on that. I don't need them to see me swearing when it doesn't go well.
Yes, happens often too.
Yeah. Um, let's talk about the all lady clinic you put on.
Yeah.
Was it
Uh,
you and Alyssa
Alyssa,
who
yes,
were
Alyssa
doing that?
Vanlock, yep.
Yes, very
Kirsty
cool.
Corder she just rocked it. She put this together, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Uh, was the first year that she did it, and Katie Tennant is she's I guess kind of a oversees the property at this 4-H club or camp area, and
Hmm.
so it was just the perfect setup. We stayed in I guess it's kind of like I guess dorms, if you would.
Yeah,
We had a nice kitchen, a nice area, like a common area, but the throwing area was wonderful. It was perfect for what we needed to do. There was a basketball court right next to us, so we can do drills on this asphalt, and then we can go to the field and actually throw. We had a really nice turnout. I think we had 18 women sign up, and the cap was
wow.
20, so we're right at our cap to make sure we
Yeah,
kept everything more personalized. But it was 2.5 days, 2 days of like really concentrated just drills, all like off the wall drills that worked for us. That maybe if you don't have the equipment or you don't have space, things you can do for footwork or just help identify just what body part actually needs to move when you're trying to do
hmm,
things. And we had a lot of new throwers, and then there's some that have just been some master throwers have been throwing for years, and for
yeah,
them to invest in their training like that, it really made me happy because we had a
yeah,
lot of PRs, just training PRs, and been following some of the athletes as they've been going on to their season, how that's been transforming their season. So it's been awesome to meet all these women, and some of them I met before at other games, but to see their progress from the first day when we're just trying to break things down and
mhm,
hours. I mean, we were out there for hours throwing, and they just did
yeah,
not want to stop. It was so much fun.
yeah. It's amazing that you guys were able to bring like get 18 women to come out
Yeah.
for a thing like that's
And it's
huge.
not just local. We were in Virginia, and
Hmm.
so I drove up from South Carolina. Alyssa flew out from Texas, but we had an athlete fly out from Washington, state of Washington, out near Seattle. We had Florida. We had, gosh, where else? Michigan. Um, just all sorts of places. More Texas.
Yeah,
So it
that's
wasn't.
incredible. Like that's being motivated. Like that's
Yes,
what you want.
yes.
Yeah, it's that's incredible.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I wanted to thank them all for investing in themselves that way because I think they really got a great weekend. I mean, it was again nice lady camaraderie and just checking like how did things work for you having a family? How do your job and other things that are outside of the sport and how to balance the travel and trying to plan a season, but also just how do you train differently than your boyfriend husband does, or
Hmm.
what are some specific things that you need to work on in the weight room or with their throw. So it was really personalized for being such a small group, but I thought it was really beneficial. Really fun.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Like sometimes you need the women's perspective,
Yeah.
like when it comes to like training and stuff, because like I know like when my wife was throwing, like she wasn't doing the things that I was doing,
Mm-mm.
and because like one, she fucking hated doing what I was doing because I'm like she needed to like find like her speed and her pace and her cues because like the things I was telling her, like I was telling her like push on the hammer and she probably needed me to tell her to pull on it and like it would
Yeah.
have made like sense. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just
But if you
incredible
wanted me to
how
do an
much the
all
sport has
men's
grown.
clinic, I'd be happy to coach the men too. So it's not like
Right.
I just wanted to coach the
Well,
women.
right.
Because
Well,
hopefully
you
maybe
are
my
an
details
expert
will help
coach.
a dude out too. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you are an expert coach because that's what you do in like your full time like day job, right? Like you're
Actually, my,
coaching.
my day job is now a full-time position. I work with the ARCP, so it's the Army Recovery Care Program.
Mm-hmm.
I was a contract coach for a long time for para-style track and field or powerlifting with wounded, ill, and injured soldiers. But now I moved up into more of an admin kind of position where I help out with all the adapted sport programming for the Army, for Team Army. But that does leave me a little time to still train people at the gym, so I'll do that in the evenings. And I still work with some of my special needs people and some other clients when I can. So I do miss being in the gym every day, but I like what I get to do. I get to do the best of both worlds now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm.
You coach Highland Games athletes as well, like
I do. I
remotely.
do some online. Yep. I'll do either just the weight training program, or else I'll do the programming and the throwing, or just throwing. So I've done a lot of the everything, and it's still so weird doing things virtually, but it's actually working
Yeah,
out when you have a motivated athlete who has good feedback and communication. It's pretty easy. If you have someone who's doesn't provide a lot of feedback, it's really tough to judge how to progress them from where they started. And I say, well, I didn't get in the gym this week, or whatever that happens. Life happens, but that just makes it challenging. That's what I do like having the access like in person to fix things as I can
yeah, yeah.
instead of seeing
Because
something six
you
hours
know they're
later and then
yeah
commenting to that.
in in person so much better. I I I can cue people very well in person, but like remotely, I'm like, okay, let me stand up real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk through this so I can tell
I
you.
mean, so I'm gonna put my body weight, my right ball of the foot, but I'm gonna push and rotate. Like
Yeah,
this is turning into a really long answer.
yeah. I got phone calls that go on for way longer than they should because
Yeah.
I'll over explain it. That's cool.
So I do lots of things.
Yeah, you seem to be a very busy person.
Yeah, I am. I like how busy I am. I'm as busy as I like to
Yeah,
be. How about that?
yeah.
I do make
Um,
time to do the fun stuff and then sit at home stuff and
mhm.
yeah, and then the travel stuff. 'Cause I like the travel stuff.
Did I see you were at Sornex Winter Strong
I
this year?
was. That was my first time there. I've gone to Summer Strong a number of years ever since I moved down here to South
Hmm.
Carolina. But this was my first Winter Strong. Now, Summer Strong is mostly geared towards strength conditioning
Hmm.
in the collegiate atmosphere. Sometimes it's personal training or in like the private sector. But Winter Strong, totally different vibe. It is more for the outdoors person. So it was more hunting and shooting, archery. They did a section on canning. They had a medic out there. What happens if you need to put a tourniquet on yourself? So it was all very functional and super informative. And I didn't go to the turkey call, but you could have learned how to do a turkey call.
Oh, nice.
But uh, along with just all these really accomplished speakers and just really accomplished, hunters and outdoorsmen, women too.
Hmm.
They had a competition that teams of, I think our team was 11 people. We had so many people want to participate in this, and there was some serious prizes on the line too. I didn't find out
Hmm.
afterwards. You have a couple $1,000s worth of stuff, but it was 11, 12 different stations on this property, this outdoor property of there's archery skills, there was shooting skills, like long range shooting. We had to do like a hunt basically of trying to find items. We had more physical challenges of pulling sleds as if you're like, it's a deer, you I don't hunt that much ever, but it was hard. um, and then there was a workout station, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch, but 11, 12, 13 stations. Oh, a trivia station based on all the stuff that all the seminars that were going on the day before. So you had to be present to do well.
Hmm.
And then you had to be physically fit to do well, and you had to work as a team to do well. And it was so much fun. I haven't run that much. It was more of a jog. I was jogging most of the time, but
Yeah.
it was a few miles of work and a few hours of work. But definitely an experience that I'm glad I sucked it up and did it because I'm like, ooh, it's a lot of running. But I met some really cool people in my team, and just a fantastic experience. Just again, just neat people and really accomplished people. Just sitting next to you, just wouldn't know just what they've accomplished in their life and what they've done and what they have to share. And so I did a lot of listening that weekend. Hmm.
Yeah, that's incredible. It always looks, every time I see like videos and pictures from Winter Strong, I'm like, wow, like that looks neat.
It was really neat.
I would like to try that one of
Yeah.
these years.
And the
Um,
best food. They always provide the best food.
yeah, right.
Everything's
Like,
made on site, you know. It's like, I love the food.
yeah. So like they hit on like everything that
Yeah.
like shooting and hunting and food
Hmm.
and
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 food.
yeah, I could
Yeah.
do without the running. I don't run
Uh, it really
as
wasn't that bad. It just was.
see, I'm
I got a
saving my
bum hip.
running.
I got a bum hip, you know.
I'm saving all my running until when I absolutely need to do it, and then I'll use all up right then and there.
Yeah.
But I know I can do it. I did a little soft jog the other day to warm up for throwing, and I was wheezing pretty hard at the end. I was like,
Blame the
like
pollen. Was
damn,
it the pollen?
like it was not good. I was a little embarrassed for myself. I was like, damn it, like
Mm.
I should be able to breathe a little bit better than this. Like I should be able to at least stand upright.
No. Mine turned
But
into like a little bit of a gallop. Like it just was. But thankfully, I had a really awesome team. They helped carry me along.
yeah.
Yeah, so I
Um,
like to do stuff. You know, like I like the outdoorsy stuff. I don't think
mhm.
I'm not much of a camper. I'm not more of a glamper, so I'll probably go glamping sometime. But I like shooting and I like food, so I would shoot for
Yeah.
my food, I suppose. Maybe.
I mean, glamping is camping for as far
Okay.
as I'm concerned, because like you just have a better bed. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay.
It's like how nice
I'm
of a
like,
bed do you
what
want?
do you do with your contacts? I wear contacts. You know, how do you make sure your hands are clean when you're clean? It's just things you have to think about.
It's just wipes. It's all wipes.
That's not my biggest problem, I guess.
It's
It's
all
bugs.
wipes.
And it's bugs. All right, it's bugs. It's really bugs.
Yeah, we used to go camping growing up. We used to go camping every summer. My dad would like pick the hottest time of year, and we'd go out to a lake, some lake in Kansas, and be there for like 5 days. And man, it was hell on earth. I'd get stung by a bee or a wasp every single time. Uh, someone's gonna piss the tent. It's gonna be a problem. And so
And you go
uh,
every year.
yeah, we were doing it every year, and I lost interest in fishing shortly after that, just because like one year we went, I didn't catch anything. I'm like, oh, this isn't really fun anymore. And so I leave with like half my brothers and my stepmom. Like we go home, and my dad and my two older brothers like stay, and they catch like 200 fish. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm definitely never doing this again. Like
It's, it's definitely you.
that's the nail in the coffin. It's
Yep.
yeah, I'm the problem.
Mhm.
But but and yeah, camping can be fun. We went camping in Colorado a couple years ago, probably like 6 years ago now. Um, I didn't have a good time. I got sick. I don't know
Oh,
what it was. Um, I was sleeping in a hammock and it was raining. Like every night it would rain. But luckily I planned for that. I had a tarp
yeah.
over my head, but I was in a hammock and I was like, I'm going to camp in a hammock. And then I wake up in the middle of the night and I had my hat like upside down, my favorite hat upside down, like on the floor. I rolled over and I puked right into it out of my hammock. And I was like, well, this is not good.
No.
And then I was, this would be some TMI, but I ended up, ended up crapping my pants in the hammock and I had to get out. And they had like my family set up like a bathroom station, right? They're like, oh, it's up on this like little hill. There's like a little seat you can sit on kind of thing. And you could,
Like a bucket.
like, you dig a hole. Yeah. Well, it's like a stool, and you dig a hole, you put the stool over it, and you like it's like a toilet seat with legs, and you sit over that. I'm like, that's way over there. I already scoped out this log when I got here, and I knew this might happen,
Just gonna
right?
lean on this thing here.
Yeah. So I get out there, and like it's pitch dark, everyone's sleeping. It's like 3 in the morning, raining on me, and I'm like, oh my god. I, Obviously, I just crap my pants. How do I fix this? Uh, so I had my pocket knife, so I just like cut my underwear off of me while sitting down, and I like stuffed them underneath the log. I didn't tell anyone about it. I just went back to bed and felt like dying the rest of the day. And like the next morning, uh, someone's like rummaging around the camp, and they're like, "There's underwear over here."
You didn't go far enough.
It was way closer than where the toilet was.
Well,
So
that's weird. Who's
yeah,
missing their underwear?
yeah, it's like a phantom pooper just coming on a campground and
Oh,
doing the dirty.
sorry I had to go through that.
Yeah, it was fun though. It makes for a fun
Sounds like a
poop story
blast.
because everyone likes a good poop story.
Sure, I do. Yeah.
My wife
Poop's
tells me that.
funny.
My wife tells me that's not true, and I say it sure
I
is.
think it's funny. I think poops are
Yeah,
funny. I think toots are funny. So I'm like 12. It's fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If you don't think farts are funny, then like you just don't have a sense of humor because they are.
obviously.
That's
Obviously.
a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Well, do you have any fun poop stories you want to share to everyone you know?
Well, let me get you back on the other one. Nothing recent. No. Mm-mm.
That's good.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want to bring it up anyways, but I did. So I got a
Thanks
whole list
for.
of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm,
Keep
I'm
keep
not.
keep guys keep tuning in. I'll drop
Yes.
these little nuggets
Never
here and
know what you're
there.
going to hear from Jake. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, but that's survival skills that I'm sure they teach some version of that at Winter Strong. So if I
Yeah.
had to guess,
Is it going to be like bear deterrent if you do something like that?
or maybe bear attractant.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like it smells good. Like I don't know. Like animals eat their own turds, so like I think like they think it smells better than we do. So what do I know?
Oh, how do we get here?
Yeah, yeah. I'll take us there.
All right. All
That's
right.
what I
I'm
do.
in. You said wipes. You
Um,
need lots of wipes, right?
yeah, that's why. That's one of the many reasons for the wipes.
Okay. All
You
right.
might crap
Noted. I
yourself,
will make sure I bring some.
but I don't know. What what do you got planned for this year for the Highland Games? You got a season already kind of
Actually,
mapped
I got
out,
I
or
got quite the season. I don't
do
like to
you?
say no. There's just so many fun games out there, and you know, a lot of people put a lot of time into it. I want to be there and I want to support. So coming up, let's see, it's April. It's April right now.
Sure
This
is.
weekend will be Oxford, North Carolina. So Buck Buchanan is putting on a charity event. It's my first time there, so I haven't been to this game yet. But it's a pro am, so another chance to do the meeting of the minds of the AMs and pretty much AMs and pros. Looking forward to that. Then moving on, oh, it's the big one. It's coming out to Albuquerque for New Mexico
Oh,
games.
Kirky.
That's a ton
Yeah,
of fun. I really like the field out there. It's super spread out, and
yeah,
a lot of vendors, and the crowd's always awesome out there.
yeah. I remember looking last year at some of like the hammer footage, and like the field just seemed infinite. Like it
It's
just went on
really
forever, and I
big.
was like,
You're like,
that seems
okay,
very.
I can
It's
throw that far
yeah, it's
over that
very
mountain.
safe.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and Mona, you're going to do a nice job on that game. And
yeah.
that's also going to be another team camp or team
Hmm.
game. So paired up with Danny Autry actually,
Oh,
and so it's going to be a fun one of Alaska and South Carolina meet in
yeah,
Albuquerque. That's a fun game to have a partner like that. So I like the pro team game format. That's a lot of fun. Again, I'm still going to learn stuff from the male pros, and hopefully I can teach them
yeah.
something too. So I'm always using that as a nice opportunity to learn something.
For
Then
sure.
staying close to home. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I gotta go to British Columbia. So off to Victoria. So May's a busy month for me. So
Yeah,
I love Victoria. That's another game that it should be on everybody's bucket list. Rachel Habits does a super job. He and his crew are just phenomenal organizing it. And Victoria is just it's a beautiful time of year. The weather's honestly always great.
yeah,
Carl Jensen's on the microphone. He is super fun to listen to and just very entertaining. But the crowd in Victoria, it really can't be beat. I'm still waiting. I mean, I've been to Pleasanton, I've been to Scotland, I've been all over the place, but the crowd in Victoria is just it's very heartwarming and they're a ton of fun and they put us right next to the beer tent, so that's
that's what
helpful.
everyone. that's what everyone says about Victoria. Like there's
Yeah.
two games, like Victoria and Celtic, where the
Okay.
people there remember you,
Yeah.
and they're a well-educated like
Oh yeah.
audience. Like they understand. They come back year after year, and like they remember you. They remember like all the rules of the events they've heard before,
Hmm.
and I think that's a huge to get like a good crowd is just the fact that they're educated. Like they
Yes.
know what they're looking at, and
Yes.
Victoria's one that everyone says has that down pat.
Hmm. And it's a relatively, I would say, like a smaller game. They have it's mostly invite
Yeah.
and local. So
Mm.
you really do feel special on the field because the crowd, like you said, they know you and they're cheering
Yep.
for you. It's really nice.
Yeah.
But then they always bring in some of actually the top throwers, so it's always a great competition too. And so we're pushing each
Right.
other along. But let's see.
Well, and
Then
that's kind of like I've talked about a bunch in the past is that that's the way you want to see it is not again not for every games, but the games that like have the pros like you put them in front of the crowd, and
mhm,
Victoria does that very well
they do.
because that's who's there. It's the pros and the invited people. Like that's who's putting on the show. Same thing with Celtic. That's probably why these are the most educated and like well favored crowds.
Mhm. They get to see the best of the best, and they take note.
Hmm.
Yep. Let's see. I guess moving on. I guess I have staying close to home. So Greenville, South Carolina, at Furman University is the Galibre. So Aaron George is the AD of that game, and I look forward to Greenville every time because it's Furman campus is beautiful, and
Hmm.
they do just a really nice job there as well. But they always have a nice Memorial Day tribute to our military, and it's always nice to be a part of that. Um, and then June, I'm going to kind of take it easier. I hope to go out to Utah. That should be the women's nationals. This is the first year we're trying to promote a national game, and Aubrey's going to be sending out invites shortly. So fingers crossed. If not, I'm going anyway.
Yeah.
I'll go as a master. I don't care because I want to go to Utah. I haven't been to
Yeah.
Utah yet. I haven't competed
I
in a game
love
in Utah
Utah.
yet. Yeah. So that's it's been on my bucket list and like to take a few days to go explore.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have Warrior Games. That's like my job. My job actually is going to take over a little bit. So Warrior Games is going to be in Colorado Springs, and that's when Team Army goes up against all the other services. So we have Team SOCOM and Air Force, Navy, um, the
Hmm.
Marines, and I forget another one. But all it's a Paralympic style event, so they compete in all sorts of sports, track and field, swimming, shooting, archery, wheelchair rugby, wheelchair basketball. It's a ton of fun. So I'll be away for about 2.5 weeks for that one. So no games for a while, and then we'll see how it pans out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a full season already.
Yeah. And I already forgot one. So Jonathan Harding has one May 10th. It's a new one too. So it's makes my May very busy. But I'm excited because it's the first year for that one. He says I would really like it if you could come up and help support. I'm like, okay. Like I thought, okay. So yeah, just
That's
I like supporting games and being there because I get to hang out with my friends and travel and throw and have a
yeah.
good time.
That's like the beauty of the Highland Games is that like it's consistent fun. You go all across the country and like it's
Hmm.
going to be the people that you know and like have like this weird connection to that you can go to any one of them and fit right in.
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
they're all like a little bit different. They all have like their own little quirks that makes it
Yeah.
enjoyable. But you're quite fortunate that you actually like you live in an area where there's a lot of games around
I
you.
am very
So
fortunate. Yes, actually, there's a ton of games. 4 or 5 hour drive, you can get hit a
mm,
bunch. And if
yeah,
you're willing to go a couple extra hours, you're going to hit a lot of games in the South. So really fortunate where I live, and I'm an hour and a half from the Charlotte airport, so or 10 minutes from the Columbia airport. But I can hop in a plane and get anywhere. So it's not
yeah,
super difficult to get anywhere to get to games. Like all up and down the East Coast from Florida all the way up to I've been to Maine, so I've been all over the
yeah,
place, and just I like to say yes to games because I never know if that's gonna be my week to have that big breakthrough or just a really fun experience or just that complete game that we're always seeking. We want to have that game where
right,
everything just kind of falls into place and it maybe it's at that smaller game where the crowd is, you know, really into it and everybody's
Mhm.
paying attention because it's a small game. Or maybe it's that really big game that have a huge grandstand that just fires you up. So I'm going to do my best to find out what works for me.
Yeah.
Find out when everything's going to come together because I'm excited to be there when it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard time saying no too.
Mhm.
Just because,
Especially if
like,
it's like a 3 hour drive and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just out of gas, a tank of gas, it's not a big deal. Or maybe I can crash with some friends or, just get a cheap hotel. I mean, it's, if I make $100, well, that's pretty awesome.
yeah.
I know I'm not going to make a killing in the sport, but, if I can, get away for a weekend and do some fun stuff and hang out with my friends, it's pretty rocking.
I would kill for a 3-hour drive to a games. I
No,
think the
you're like in the
closest,
middle of nowhere.
yeah, like I'm dead center in the United States, and the closest games that pro games is like 10 hours away or 11 hours, and that's in Austin.
How long was your drive to Mississippi?
13 hours.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm, I
which
don't know.
that's not too bad. I drove 22 to Maine. Uh, 20. So last year was a lot. Last year I drove a lot. I drove 22 hours to Maine, 20 hours to Massachusetts, and 19 hours to New York. So that was a lot. And then 10
That's
hours to,
commitment.
yeah. Yeah, well, it's just easier than flying. And I like my fork. I like my fork a lot.
Mm,
We have an unhealthy relationship, and I don't want them to break it or lose it.
understood.
And I really also like, and I've heard these horror stories, and I hope I don't run into them this year because I'm gonna fly a little bit more this year.
Yes.
Um, yeah, well, I'm worried that like I'm gonna get to the airline and they're gonna tell me like, oh yeah, we can't check this bag because it's a fucking snowboard bag, and like we don't handle those. And then next thing you know, it's $600 to get your fork to where it's going.
That happened to me in Chicago, actually, with Southwest. Everybody's like, oh, Southwest is so great. I had a snowboard bag. I had my fork in there. I threw like my dirty clothes. They actually lost on the way out. So on the way to go home, I checked the snowboard bag again. They're like, ooh, it's oversized. I'm like, no, ma'am, it's sporting equipment. It's part of my, because I was just going to carry on and then put everything else in there. She's like, no, there's other things in there. It's not just sporting equipment. I'm like, doesn't matter. It's sporting equipment. And they ended up charging me $125 to take my fork back.
Yeah,
So it's not
yeah.
happy. Not happy.
That's that's gonna be unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It'll be okay. I'm going to Maryland, and then the next weekend going to um, Costa Mesa. So coast to coast, like back to back. And I'm like, I want to drive it because I prefer to do that. I have the
Mm-hmm.
time.
It's nice to
Uh,
have your own vehicle, just
right.
and your stuff. Have a lot of stuff.
But just like going to Costa Mesa for 2-day games that's a minimum of 6 days being gone, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's a long time to not be home.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a baby and whatnot, so
Yay.
yeah. So I'll probably fly for that,
Okay.
which we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm looking forward to this year. Going back to Massachusetts for No Fames,
Awesome.
and the open class because they're doing an open model.
Mm-hmm.
It's ungodly stacked. Like I gotta get my act together and try really hard and believe in
Mm-hmm. Well, your
myself.
strengths are
Uh,
hammers. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you.
Um, and I don't know if I was wishing for this to happen, but Vlad was going to be there, and he like broke his leg,
He broke
and
his
so I'm like,
ribs and all sorts of things. He is a mess.
yeah, he might make it back in time for No Fame. He might not, but we'll see. if he
I've
if
been
he
following
doesn't,
his little stories, and his leg looks pretty yuck.
yeah. But he's like, well, we're going to start squatting now, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Like,
Don't do that. No.
you crazy
Oh.
European. Yeah, but that's gonna be a really stat game. So if anyone
Hmm.
if anyone cares to like follow Highland games and like follow the pro circuit, pay attention to that one
Yeah, that's
because
gonna be a good one.
yeah,
Be tuning in.
It's going to be interesting.
Hmm.
That's I think that's all I got for you. Do you
It's
have
pretty
anything else
highlight
you
for
want to
you
add?
though. That's No Fame, and then Costa Mesa. What else is next on yours, on your list?
Oh yeah, so Maryland, Costa Mesa,
Hmm.
then I think let me pull it up because I have a terrible memory when it comes to this. I have a Google Calendar. I use Google Calendar now so I don't forget things because I tend to do that. Um, and then it goes No Fame the next week after that. Cortez, Colorado.
Oh, fun.
Small games that they're doing over there. So that'd be fun. And that's actually pretty close to me. I could drive there.
It's only
It's all
14
across.
hours.
Yeah, I think it's like 12
Okay, all
to go all the
right,
way across
all
Kansas
right.
and then all the way across Colorado. When I said yes, I was like, sure, yeah, I want to say yes, obviously.
Okay.
I'm like, where the hell's Cortez? So I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's on the other side of Colorado. It's like the furthest
I
one
bet
you
it's a
can
really
get.
pretty drive, though.
I bet, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I got a couple months off. I got Woodridge Farms in
Mm-hmm.
Virginia, so yay for that. I got
Yes.
luckily, fortunately, shout out to Cerberus. They are sponsoring me as an athlete, so
Awesome.
I appreciate them very much.
Congratulations.
Cerberus USA.
I might be going that one for Masters because I need to gear up for October. So
Yeah,
let's see. I'm on the fence. Which class again? Which class do I go to? I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like, I mean, obviously, there's going to be end of the end of August. There's options.
Hmm.
We'll see where I shake out for the big weekend, August 30th. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's it. Oh, then I might just end up cutting this out because I'm not ready to announce it yet. But
Okay.
I am running a games here in Kansas, in Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh wow.
We are doing a Highland Games. So
You don't have to go very far.
no, it's but like unfortunately, like I was looking to do it in Topeka where I live, or I live near Topeka. Um, and it's like 5 minutes away, right? And I'm like, but I was looking at all the parks and all the venues, and the parks department didn't understand what I wanted from them. I reached out to them to try to partner with the parks department
And your
so they
video is
can
frozen
like
right now. If you, oh, there you are. Never mind.
ah, ah.
You're back on. You're fine.
Okay. I have terrible internet, but because I live in the middle of nowhere, and but I was talking to the Topeka Parks department because I wanted them to partner with me as this Highland Games to bring in like people and things like that, make a real show of it, and try to build like a little festival that grow every year and be kind of a staple in October, right? And they didn't. They're just like, oh, okay, yeah. So we'll put together a permit package for you, and they're like, I'm like, okay, what's that look like? And they're like, well, if you have alcohol, and they're naming off all this stuff that like I just was spitballing with them. They're like, okay, it's like a couple $1,000s for permitting, and I'm like, well, we're not doing it here then.
Yeah.
Right now, I have $0, and God knows I'm going to get a couple thousand for permits.
Mhm.
And
That's a big
they
thing.
didn't
People just
seem,
don't understand what kind of money it takes just to put on a show. And I mean, I don't even know how much insurance is. You know,
yeah,
I feel badly for games when they're out of money and you just don't know why.
yeah. Um, d there's money available. Whatever, like the way I see it is like you start like you scale it, right? You find like we find a venue, and if we get a venue, we can have amateurs and they can pay their way. And if we price it at the right price point, they get shirts and lunch, and we pay for all the insurance and things like that just on athlete registration. And then you go from there. Then you reach out to all the companies and vendors and all that stuff and have them pay you. And the next thing you know, you have pro athletes, and then you have like a full blown festival. But like it's tiered. A lot of people overestimate what they can actually get and how much time they have to devote to it. Um, so we'll see. I'm very optimistic. It's going to be quite the ordeal because I think it's the perfect venue. Besides the fact that it's not on grass, it's in dirt,
Oh,
which
oh, oh.
we're going Enum Claw style. We're throwing off
Okay.
platforms,
Okay, all right. Okay.
which people seem okay with
I had
it.
my seasonal best last year because I was throwing on my lightweight for distance because I was on a platform. So I think
Right. So they're like, oh,
yeah.
well, my hammers are going to suck on a platform. Like, yeah, but your stones and weights are going to do really well because you're going to be a
hmm
little bit elevated,
hmm
and
hmm
it's nice, consistent ground, and yeah. So, but it's a horse arena. We're using like 30 minutes away, 30 miles away. There's a fairgrounds, and they have when you walk through the main gate, it's built into a hill, so like you are overlooking the entire like field, and like the bleachers are built in. And I
Oh,
was like,
that's cool.
ooh, yeah. And to rent it is dirt cheap. It's like $200, and like they're like you can
Nice.
do, yeah. I got to give them like 500 for like a deposit so I don't break anything. But I mean, even 800 for the venue that they like. You can use our loudspeakers. We turn on lights for you if you
Oh,
need to. Like you
wow.
go late, just pick up your trash, and like they're very very cool. And because it's sponsored by the county, and like I'm just reserving a day, right? I just from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I could do whatever I want in there, and so really stoked on that. What I plan on doing is doing a split format. In the morning, it's gonna be amateurs and masters and things like that. In the evening is when, and this is the tiering of it, right? Because if it's just amateurs, we're just gonna go all day like a normal Highland Games. But if I get the money, we're doing a pro or elite amateur, whatever. Again, the tiering, whatever I can afford. We're trying to get the best out there and do an actual show. 5 events. You're doing open stone, lightweight, light hammer, caber, and wob.
The bare
And
minimum.
yeah, like because like no one wants to see someone throw hammer for an hour. Like, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You throw the heavy one and then you throw the light one. They just see hammers being thrown and they lose interest. I want to keep people in their seats for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and give them a show. I'm going to hire a rodeo clown who's going to run around the stands and like I don't know, rile people up. Like this is the big idea. We'll see,
All right, October.
but yeah, October 18th.
Oh
So
man, when's Worlds? That's the
the
21st.
weekend before, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I looked. I try not to interfere with anything,
Oh yeah, you're right. The week before.
but yeah,
Hmm. Interesting. I don't have anything going
yes,
on that
interesting.
weekend. Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's in Kansas, so like it's neat. But
Kansas is neat.
that's yeah,
I've driven through
it's
Kansas.
neat. Yeah, it's neat. But yeah, so I'm quite excited for that. We're at the very beginning stages of planning it. So we have the
Awesome.
venue.
Well, I wish you luck
We're
on that.
trying to solicit funds now. I was going to have it put up on Heavy Athlete on Friday, but their website has been down
I
for a couple
noticed.
days now. Yeah,
Hmm
so that's fun. But I'll put it up there at some point and then make it a big old announcement, explain what I'm doing, what I want to do, and get the funding for it. Because
Cool.
I think the biggest thing we're missing in the Highland Games is the entertainment.
hmm
We are very boring, and we could be more entertaining. You get the best people out there, hamming it up for the crowd, throwing big numbers, and putting asses in seats for
Yes.
a period of time.
So, do you need to
But
follow the format of if you're going to have a Highland game? Are you bringing in dancers? Are you bringing in vendors? Are you bringing in pipers?
yes,
Okay.
well,
Short answer, yes.
yeah. I mean, like
Okay.
ideally, yes. But like, I'm trying because I don't know where to find these people. They don't have websites. And like I just spent all day today finding clans and sending emails to them,
Oh,
just so I can have like clan tents there. Because it's the end of the season and it's a new games and it's in Kansas. We don't have a lot of throwers here. In the state,
they're primed to throw far at that time of year.
right? I mean, maybe,
You hope.
yeah, and yeah. So I'm getting clans right now, and then we're going to work on hopefully getting some big ticket sponsors that can relieve some of my stress, and then I'm going to send out 200 emails every single day asking for money from some people
hmm
because this is I have made this my full-time job because I'm a stay-at-home dad,
Yeah.
and so I have time to pursue these little things. And I want to make Highland Games great again, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
that's what you got to do, though. You have to put yourself out there and be the change. You know, you're bringing something new
yeah.
to your area that your
Mhm.
area's gonna be proud of. They're gonna say, yeah, we have our own Highland game here. Mm.
Yeah. And what's really tough is like everyone keeps telling me like start small, like just do like a little backyard and like build it every year. I'm like, yeah, but I have way more time than a backyarder needs. I could do a backyarder next month, and like I'm not gonna be happy with it. Like it needs to be bigger and better, and like worthy of my time. Like I want it to be the Enumclaw of the Great Plains, right? Like I want people to want to come out,
Mhm.
and I know, and like I've picked some people's brains and they said this could be a concern, but I just said I don't care, and that's the the idea that I'm a pro and I'm paying pros money. Like there's that conflict there, and they I don't know. I don't
You're
see
just,
the conflict.
I think you're just the athletic director. You're just, I don't
Right.
see a conflict.
Right, but they're like, well, because like someone could say that like it's not fair because of who you invite and whatnot. I'm like,
It's your game.
what?
I
Right,
will
like
preach that for everybody.
like,
It's the game. It's your game. You invite who you want. You pay out what you want.
yeah,
You throw the events you want. You're setting
yeah,
up for your success. So do it.
right, yeah. And the goal is I want like two announcers because we have announcing booth because it's like a full blown rodeo arena. They have demo
Super
derbies in there and
cool.
stuff.
Nice.
And so like
Oh, so it's
I
big,
talked to
big.
Matt Hand. No, it's not big. It's
Okay.
small.
Okay.
Like it's very like intimate, but
Okay.
like it, which I think is very good for us because we can fill those bleachers.
How
And then
far
they
can you throw the
have like,
hammer?
oh, forever far,
Okay.
right? Like you could throw, yeah. And like if you put, because like seating is only like three-quarters of or half of the field,
Hmm.
so like you set the hammer out like towards the middle of like where the
Okay.
bleachers are, you'd never chance of hitting anyone unless
Okay.
you somehow throw it
Behind
over
you.
the thing, and then it still has to
In
go
the
60
mountain.
feet. Yeah,
Okay.
and so like it should be pretty safe. And what I really want to do is I want, just in order to fill seats and keep the amateurs and the other classes like there all day. I want to put sheaf at the end with a jackpot. The sheaf won't count for
Mm,
the overall day,
yeah.
but but like we'll still enter it into heavy athlete or whatever
Yeah.
if it ever comes back. well, if it ever comes back, we'll enter it in, and if you win, you get a jackpot. And like pros against amateurs, all throwing for $200 or whatever your weight is. You get an opportunity to do it, and that'll be like kind of like the closer
Well,
is
I'll help
having to
sponsor
come back
your
out.
jackpot. How about that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll see. And like, cause like I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in Highland Games. I want us to be more entertaining. Cause I think we can be where strongman is right now in 10 years. I
Hmm.
think that's entirely possible. I think in 10 to 20 years, we can see gyms being built around Highland Games. Just like they have strongman gyms, or like there's going to be gyms that have cavers just lined up in the back and things like that. They'll have standards
Well,
just are always up.
I love the post. I remember I just mentioned that the short episode when you're talking about new people.
Hmm?
They're mostly masters, and they have the time to devote to something like this. And because most of the time their kids are doing their thing, and they're not in the position where you are. We have to be with the kids all day long, you know. So these masters, I know, the masters throwers. I mean, they're willing to do the travel. They're willing
Hmm.
to invest in a weekend away. You know, that's one great thing about being a master's athlete is that
Yeah.
hopefully you've built up some type of finances so that you could go do this goofy stuff that we do every weekend. Um,
Yep.
and I'm excited for you. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And on like new people coming in, like it is interesting that you've observed like it's mostly masters that
Hmm.
are coming into the games. which is great to a point. I mean, I would obviously like to see more 20-year-olds
Sure.
getting involved in the games, but we're not a real sport, so they don't know about it, and they
Hmm.
didn't do it in middle school. So
Right.
what are the odds of that? But I think we're getting there. We're
Yeah. Well,
we're
it's actually fun.
becoming cooler.
I coached a high school in locally a couple years ago, and one of the athletes sought me out and years later. So now he's in his mid 20s, but he says, "I want to throw." I'm like, "Come on out. We're having a clinic. We're having an open practice day." And so
Yeah.
he threw shot put and discus in high school for me. And so Stone figured it out really easily. He started doing weight over bar and sheaf, and he was like, "This is so much fun." So he's in his mid 20s and just getting into it. And
Hmm.
he recently said, "Well, okay, well now what do I do?" I'm like, "Just sign up for a game." He's like, "Well, I'm not ready." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Just sign up for a game. You have to just
Hmm.
just jump in with both feet. I have an extra fork you can borrow. I'll see if I can scrounge up another 28 for you so you can practice on your own. But just sign up." But that's who we really need is just the kids who are like, they started their career, they started their family, if they have the time to devote to a fun
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they might find something that they really truly enjoy and keeps them active and keeps them out doing new stuff, traveling. But there's always the collegiate throwers and the collegiate athletes that need that extra something to do once their sport's over, and once they're done with
Yeah.
their collegiate career or professional career, how far they go. And I love what the Highland Games can offer for so many different kind of sports and so many different kind of athletes.
Yeah. And you mentioned traveling. I think that's when Highland Games gets really good, and I try
Hmm.
to I try to push everyone I can to
Yeah,
like go away from your town, go
yeah.
somewhere else,
If you have the means to
travel.
do it, do your best to
Yeah,
do that. Yeah.
yeah. See, I would say risk it.
That's what credit
Put
cards are
yourself in
for.
yeah, put yourself in financial detriment,
Yeah.
but go travel. It'll be worth it.
Just go split skis
Money
with somebody.
comes and goes. Yeah, find a friend, force them to come with you. I
Yeah.
have brothers. I'm like, hey, let's go to
Hmm.
Idaho, and they're like, okay. So boom, there we go.
Yeah.
Like but that's like when it gets really good. That's when the competition gets way tighter. That's when you develop as an athlete. Is like
For
once
sure.
you move out of your own practice group and like started
Hmm.
communicating with other people.
Yeah.
But maybe don't like go into debt to travel for
I'll
Highland
try
Games.
not to.
But
No.
maybe that's a bad idea.
I mean, we might
But
in this sport just because of what we do, but we're not really making a bunch here.
yeah, but I think traveling's worth it.
For sure, I do too.
It's worth it.
I agree.
But we are coming up on time.
Okay. That was fast.
Yeah, good time. Do you have anything you want to plug? How
Um,
cool you are. Oh, well, before we get to that, are are you aware that you're the goat? Are you aware of this?
I've heard two people call me that a few times, and I don't know if I accept that because I'm
You
sure
know,
there's.
everyone thinks you are.
I can't say that myself because I look up to other
No,
people.
you can
I
do it.
can't be the greatest of all time if I look up to other people. I've just been doing it a
Well,
lot longer than some people. That's all.
that's what makes you the goat. Is
Mm.
you stay humble.
Mm. No, I'm sure Megan McKee, she's going to be the GOAT. I'm sure that, she's going to be coming up. I love Christine Rothwell. I think she's the GOAT. I think all these women that I throw with are tremendous humans, but they're fantastic athletes, and I appreciate the name. That's lovely. I don't know what to say to
So
that, but thank you very much.
you just have like you have a whole herd of goats. That's what
Yes.
you're saying.
Oh, goats and kids. But
Okay.
thank you. No, I just
All right.
I'm really fortunate I get to do this, and
Hmm.
I love what I get to do and travel around and goof off with my friends.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's it, guys. That's it for this episode. Do all the things. Comment,
Do
like,
whatever.
subscribe. You can find Adrian on Instagram and other places on the internet. Look out there. Go
Respectable
back and
places.
watch. Yeah, this is a thing that I found, and I enjoy this a lot. I've been digging deep into the YouTube archives and finding old Highland Game stuff, and you're in there.
I'm in there.
I found you in Portland in like 2012 or something like
Ooh,
that.
that's a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was, man. That's just a nutty group. It was. I remember seeing you and Eric was there. Harrison Bailey was
Oh, yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like, and everyone was spinning wob, and I was like,
That was the year I was like 18, 19, and on the way to a bar spinning.
yo,
That was a good day. I remember that
yeah,
one.
yeah,
That's a good stone year. 2012 was a good stone year for me because that's when I was training for London too. So all my stones were
yeah,
really good that year. It's just not Portland stones. It's like the huge one,
yeah.
but
Ridiculous. But that's just a little plug out there to dig deep into the YouTube
dig
archives.
deep.
You find a
Yeah.
ton of Highland Games gems.
Hmm.
But all right, that's it.
Well,
So
thank
far,
you.
God bless.